Hello and welcome to Impact Africa, our online talk show where we get to have conversations with diverse people and organizations who are impacting lives positively. Yes, this is me, Kemi Akiode Adebayo, aka Mama K. And in today's program, which we've called Celebrating Entrepreneurs in South Africa Part 1, we will be showing my previously recorded conversation with two featured guests, Mr. Sello Moloko and Mrs. Ziggy Owei. Mrs. Ziggy Owei, popularly known as Ziggy, Ngozika is her first name. And yes, starting with Mr. Sello, is my brother from another mother, this humble, gentle, intelligent, hardworking young man, I still call him young man, is the founder chairman of Thesele Group, which is based in South Africa. And he has so much knowledge. He's the director of so many organizations as well, businesses. He is so blessed and it's been a blessing to so many. So in my conversation with this snippet that we're going to share, I asked him about his career, when he studied at the University of Cape Town, studying Actuarial Science, up to traveling even abroad to study more, and before he became all this wonderful big thing that he is as an entrepreneur, as well. And with Miss Ziggy Owei, my sister as well from another mother. Oh yes, I have a lot of them. She has done a lot of journey, worked a lot of journey from life as a banker in Nigeria and then moving to Germany and then moving on to South Africa. She speaks German. So I asked her in this part of this segment about her life in Germany and, how she got into business, and as well, with her, she has worked in the tourism industry, worked, in the hospitality industry, and at the moment is working, running her own business with a business called Secret, where they work on skincare, with over 2,000 people that work underneath her. So yes, she gave us tips as well, for young people who might want to start business. And as well, Sello, shared as well some advice that he would have given a younger version of him, that comes from Guguletu, Kailicha, or one of the township in South Africa. I really had a blessed and insightful time, with this young brother and sister of mine sharing their life journey as an entrepreneur. Enjoy. Let me now go to your career, because you've from what I've read, about you, and I know a little bit, you held directorship at over 28 diverse companies, from mining, property, and so on. So in terms of your career, how has the journey? Where have you, you studied at UCT, where did you go next?
Sure. I think what happened is after my second year at UCT, I then got an invitation to study in the UK. To finish my degree at the University of Leicester. So I went to Leicester.
Did you apply, or was that just a random?
I didn't apply, so I just got an offer, which I think was based on my performance at UCT. So essentially, the Dean of the faculty
makes
at the time, Professor Linda, and the Deputy Vice Chancellor, Dr. Reed, or Professor Reed at that time, were the ones that recommended me to Leicester. So that's how I managed to get into the University of Leicester back in 1986. I think at that time my father said, 2021, what is another 18, an additional year to your curriculum at UCT. So I saw it that way, and I think it was also a great step towards what I call the journey to manhood. Because now you're in Cape Town, but you're still within the same country. You're still largely, whilst you're exposed to other cultures, first time you're living with white people. The first time you're living in a predominantly Xhosa environment, whereas in Johannesburg it's more cosmopolitan. All the language. But if you go into almost a homogeneous society, you learn some valuable things from there. But also getting into another culture that is predominantly white within the confines of the university kind of opens up your mind. But going into the UK, one got exposed to multiple cultures from all over the world, because I mean the University of Leicester was the melting pot of many international students from Singapore, Malaysia, Canada, everywhere, Nigeria. So for the first time I came across people from the continent, because at the time in South Africa we were close to the rest of the continent. Probably the only contact I've had with people was people from the Sello region. But I've never come across anybody from Kenya. And you learn quite a lot of things. And I think also I became more exposed to the South African political dynamic, having been there. So it was a great lesson that also, adds to your social development as a person. So I came back. I finished my degrees in Leicester. I finished in '88. I did my BSc. Then '89 I did the PGCE. So I came back to South Africa. And I realized that soon thereafter that teaching was no longer an option. The environment was in schools was not, I think, amenable or appropriate for me. So I then I had heard about this Actuarial Science. And then I joined one of the firms called Alexander Forbes in 1989 as an actuarial technician. And that was my first job outside teaching. So it was my first job in the private sector. And there I learned quite a lot. In between I tried to write the actuarial exams, had some successes, and I think for the first time also I got to fail an exam.
You like some of us. At that time you've always been like up there, and then you're like
up
reality.
There, so reality.
No, you were recommended, offered, everything, because you were smart, obviously, very intelligent. I still do.
No, it's true. So reality sinks in that, there's an expression in Sesotho. I learned Sesotho at school, so that and I'll translate it that they say even the four-legged animals do stumble. A horse does also fall. It can run, but it also trips and falls. So no matter how strong you are, there's going to be a point where you trip and you fail, and you've got to pick yourself up and move on in life. So I've learned that also, failing at a certain step, you've got to redo it and come back and bounce back. So I think being in the actuarial field was also, again, something that kind of builds you up for bigger things in time. So after being in the actuarial space, it's only in 1995 I wanted to get out and get into investments. And I was in Johannesburg at that time. So I'd gone back home, lived in Johannesburg, and then I got a job in Cape Town in investments. So that's when I moved back to Cape Town in 1996. So 2nd of January I got into my car. I'd given up most things to my family, and I took my hi-fi and small things and started a new life in Cape Town. So that's when I got to Cape Town to work for a company called Capital Alliance at that time. It was the first black-owned investment house. Started by an entrepreneur called Ziggy. So I joined a team that Ziggy had assembled at that time, and I guess being part of an entrepreneurial setup probably was the best thing for me, because you learned so many aspects of it. We made a lot of mistakes, but
and you learn as well from the mistakes.
You learn from mistakes. We made some. When I look back, we made some mistakes that maybe had one had other people kind of advising, we wouldn't have made them. But we did. We were a young team at that time.
Okay.
We built the business to profitability. So from 1996 until 1999, I was at Capital Alliance. It changed names at some point too.
Right.
It was taken over by Braid, so it became Braid Asset Managers. And then Old Mutual had hunted me in 1999.
Okay.
So I joined them in August of that year, and I became a portfolio manager. So at Capital Alliance, I had been promoted to be a director and deputy CEO. Small business, but I was deputy CEO there. But when I went to Old Mutual, I made a conscious decision that I wasn't chasing the title. I was chasing the experience.
Okay.
It was a bigger place, and where I wanted to get more, better training and better development, so that one can be a solid professional going forward. It's very easy to find yourself right at the top, but there's nothing that supports you being at the top, and it's very easy that when something comes off, you kind of drop down. So Old Mutual was a great place for me to kind of redevelop myself further, and that I did, and I think it was I had probably one of the best times of my career at Old Mutual. The training, the development, the attitude of the people that was there, the environment was extremely supportive.
What would you advise a younger Sello, in the township from Guguletu today in terms of a career path? Just what kind of advice? Based on some of the mistakes you said you've made and how you've been hungry to go out there, what would you advise a young Sello from Guguletu today?
Yeah. A young person from Guguletu today that I would advise is that there is no one way to get into success, because success comes in different ways for us. But I would always say to any young person, use your strengths to get yourself somewhere. I started out studying mathematics, and those who were doing engineering and other courses in my time have criticized me for it. They said, "But why is a capable guy like you only doing a pure science? What are you going to do with maths? You're just going to be a teacher, etc." But the one thing that I did is that I went and did a useful degree in a field that I enjoyed.
Right.
So I always advocate that people must do what they are good at. And we shouldn't chase things that we are not good at.
Because somebody else is doing it.
I always
or your parents even forcing you to do it. Because your father could have said, you know what? You're good without.
Exactly. I saw the marks of a young person, first year marks, who's at vet. I haven't met the young person, but as soon as I looked at the marks, the person is registered for a commerce degree. But the one thing that I noticed was the maths and statistics marks were way off scale compared to the commerce and accounting that he studied. And immediately I said, and I looked at his matric marks, and I said, immediately, this guy's in the wrong place. Yes, he's passing the accounting, he's getting 60s and 70s, but he's getting 90s for the mathematics. So this is a person who should not actually be trying to study to be a chartered accountant. They'll probably make it, but it's not their natural calling. So I always say, go into a space where you're most gifted.
Right.
Whether it's singing, or there's a music school at UCT, whether it's dance or anything, just go out. If you're not sure, if you haven't received proper guidance, go out there and do what you're gifted at. And secondly, find somebody senior to you who is more successful. Get a mentor. And get somebody who will make time to sit down with you, that you can ask all kinds of questions. I didn't have that. I had my father, but my father was limited. He didn't finish high school. Was limited in his education. even though he valued education greatly. So get yourself a mentor. So the third thing is hang out with people better than you.
Right.
Yeah, your friends. Yes, we all have friends in the streets, but at some point, as you grow older, you choose people that are better than the rest. If you don't find them in your neighborhood, there's always another neighborhood where you'll find better people, and you will get criticism from those in the neighborhood. But eagles fly in the sky. They don't. They're right up there, and if you wanna be an eagle, you wanna so always perch yourself in the next level of people. I had great friends, and they were determined. We were all ambitious, and we all wanted to be better. And so it's very important to keep that network. So find a mentor, somebody senior that has done well, and let them guide you. Find better people to hang around, and follow. What really excites you. So, and you should not be ashamed to aspire for bigger things. There is nothing wrong with that. And whilst we need to be humble in the process, it's about finding that balance. Humility does not mean now you have to lower yourself.
Yeah, you have to sell yourself.
You have to sell yourself short. Yeah. You shouldn't be selling yourself short. So that would be my thing. Yeah, and as I said, there's nothing wrong with being very clear about where you're going to. And at every stage, as you go, there's this thing I call an S curve. It starts like this, it goes up, and then you may reach a point where the S plateaus. When you reach that S, is to say, how do I create another S?
Right.
So to have a series of S curves as you go along in life, because
I love that.
At every point you find that you need to improve your networks, you need to refresh your networks, because then a newer, better network can get you to the next level.
Correct.
So there is, so if you're ambitious and you want to get somewhere, it's always good to have a few people better than you. So if you look around your networks and
you're better than the ones you are, then you have a lot of work. You have a lot of work.
You have a huge problem. If you always are the best
in your
circle of people, and the people always hear your voice, and you never get to hear other voices.
Get into business? Because yes, you were in the corporate, in Nigeria, in the bank when you were working, and then you went to Germany where you were an housewife, but now an MD of the Owei family.
I was also doing my own small thing in Germany.
Oh, you were doing small things there.
Which I would share, because I know, people always feel too big to do stuff, because you've graduated, you have this and that, but there's dignity in labor. Exactly. So I've always been used to having my own money, because I graduated at 21 and I was a copper. So I started earning my small stipend from that age, Now in Nigeria, from being a banker, I was exposed to a lot of different customers, and I saw how people who were doing projects and contracts were making a lot of money, and at the same time impacting the environment. So though my husband was a doctor then, I also told him, I said, look, this your doctor salary can go far for this.
How much did you say? 6,000
naira. So I said, I think we should register a company so that we can start doing all these small supplies and all of that to aid all these things that we're planning to achieve for ourselves and all of that. So we got married in 93. In 94, we set up our first company called Avondale Services and Supplies Limited. It's now a very big company. In 1994. So that was where we started our entrepreneurial journey already. And then, of course, he also did the MBA with me in Nigeria at the time, University of Science and Technology in Rivers State, then UST. So that also broadened his own mindset, even though he was a doctor, as to how, you know, running a business could be and just becoming an entrepreneur and all of that. So he really caught on to it. He did extremely well in that program. So from that 1994, we started doing small supplies, small contracts. If I have any leads from the bank, if I see anything that is moving and happening, I will let him know. And fortunately, he has a lot of goodwill from his own personality and his profession. So he had people in positions that could give him access to opportunities. And so that's how we started. Yes, that is it. You know, what people don't realize is goodwill, network is literally your net worth. So that's how he got most of... got access to opportunities to actually do business and all. But by the time we now moved to Germany and he was doing his program and he was now seeing how things can be done, you know, differently. While we were in Germany, he came up with different ideas and proposals which he felt will benefit our people. You know, so for business, you do well when you actually identify problems and find solutions for those problems. So that was what he was doing. So he designed the very first ambulance boats for riverine areas, because he's from Bayelsa. And so he knows that all those areas, they really don't have access to ambulances. So you have the land ambulances for the road, but those places you use boats to access them. Most of those places don't have roads yet, you know. So he designed it and was just waiting for the opportunity to build and supply. And eventually that came from the Bayelsa state government, from Rivers state government as well. And now we're doing some for NIWA, the National Inland Waterways Agency as well. So
the first ambulance boat.
Yes. So we did the first 7 from Germany. When we came to South Africa, we had the opportunity to do another 15 to supply to Rivers State as well. And he's done a couple now for NIWA. So that's where that business journey started. So way back, because we always, you know, wanted to have more and do more and, you know, give more to the children as well.
What was it you were doing then in Germany? And then I want you now to share with us some of it you've already started talking about, you know, life lessons in terms of business, you know, what tips you can give. And as well, sorry, this one is a big one that I want to just start thinking.
Along the way
I'll remind
so
you.
Don't forget.
And then, you know, in terms of being let me stop there. Let's do that one first. So that I don't confuse that. So what were you doing in Germany?
So when I got to Germany and I had to be a housewife, because I was always used to having my own money and also wanting to contribute to my family's finances and not have all the pressure on my husband, I decided that I will, you know, in my free time, in fact, what happened was I made my children's hair myself. So I learned to make hair in secondary school, in boarding school, so I could braid, I could do cornrows, I could fix weave on myself and stuff. So
those were skills you probably
didn't even know I would ever use.
You will need to use at a later date.
Well, I didn't know then, but I
know. That's what I'm saying.
Yes, exactly. So nothing is lost.
Exactly.
So I learned that in school, and then it was so useful for me in Germany. So I would even wash and roll my own hair and sleep with the rollers overnight and then do my full curls in the morning. So when I started making my daughter's hair, I have 4 beautiful girls. And each time they go to school, people are always admiring their hair. You know, they're not used to that as well. So her friends were like, oh, can your mommy make her hair like this and all? And these are white children. And I told her, yes, her mommy can make your hair. Tell them. And I charge so much. And then I tell, you know, so when they approach me, I'll tell them, okay, I need a permission from your parents. And this is the amount. And that was how I started making hair. So they will come to the house, because I then got pregnant for Cassandra in Germany. So they will come to the house, I will make their hair. And they will be so excited. I charge 50 euros.
I was just going to say that one wasn't free.
No, The only person I actually gave a free
Maybe they're
hairdo
friends.
was Jessica,
Okay.
Lily's very good friend. So
Okay.
hers was the first one I did, and
So
she
you
was
used that as
marketing it everywhere.
Yeah, that's it
she was
now.
an amazing
She paid
fan.
for
She's even visited us in Cape Town as
Okay,
well. So they've
okay.
kept in touch all this while.
Right,
So she was amazing.
interesting.
Yeah, so through her, we got a lot of other children, and of course through my daughters as well. And I was making hair.
Wow.
So
You're
you
so
don't,
versatile.
you don't. I mean, at the end of the day, there's dignity in labor.
Yeah.
I would rather use my hands,
Yeah.
my brain, or whatever it is, than go begging.
Yes.
Or sitting there and being under unnecessary pressure. So we need to learn to just open up ourselves and do what we need to do to take care of our families.
So you've shared a lot of tips along the way, and I just telling you viewers, you need to rewind, just to go back again if you started watching now. What are the other business, tips that you will give somebody who is maybe starting up in business? Just that you haven't shared already, because you've shared so much. The networking, the fact that you need to learn more, the fact that, So what other business tips do you want to share?
So many
life
things.
lessons.
Yeah, so many things. In business, you will always look at yourself as someone who is still learning. You must always believe also that you can learn even from your employees. Yes, you are the boss, but every human being comes with something that you don't have. And you have to be able to identify what that human being can bring to the table. So I'm always open to learning new things, always making my, people I work with to know, look, this can't succeed without you. We need to see what you can put in that I don't even have any idea about. So just knowing that you should constantly be learning. Then also knowing that you need to when you're doing business, like the way what has helped me to succeed is I want it like there's no tomorrow. Don't do stuff like, okay, let's see whether it's going to work. No.
So you have to be hungry
You have to be hungry for it. And nobody can bring up that hunger except yourself. And so that hunger is what drives you. If you do anything and you feel, I'm just doing it for the sake of, you will never get to the peak of it and have the fullest benefit of it. But think about an animal in the forest. When is it able to, whenever you see an animal fight for survival, the way they fight for survival or fight for food, they do that because their life depends on this thing. Yeah. And that's where you see the best performance from them, because it's a do or die affair. It's a survival matter. So that's the state of mind, your mindset, I've also learned that in business, everything is mindset. If you think failure, you fail. If you think problems will come. So whatever hits you, you must maintain a positive outlook. You must maintain a positive outlook.
Good morning, my name is Ziggy Owei and I'm based in Cape Town, South Africa. I saw this incredible concept literally a year and 3 months ago, and it completely blew my mind. I was super excited. Prior to that, I was running my own 4-star 12-bedroom guest house in Cape Town, and of course I have a business degree and an MBA as well. And just 2 years before that, my business started struggling because we had a new app that came into play and literally took 60% of our market share. So I knew that I needed to move on to something else. And I was so glad when I saw this, because through this concept in the last 1 year, I've been actually able to sell my business, which I got that done in April. I do this full time now. I've achieved the level of marketing director, and I'm able to literally travel the world in style for less and earn in US dollars. This has been an absolutely incredible opportunity. I just want to encourage you to take a look and join us, and welcome to the club. Thank you.
Well, you will notice I kept writing and writing and writing with all the tips and advice those two amazing people gave. And yes, I hope you've learned one or two things from them as entrepreneurs. Good thing they said, they shared the good and the bad, of it, and the advice they gave as well, I believe are very useful for anybody in any, industry that you might want to start, as a business owner, and as well as an entrepreneur, which is whereby you could be running a business within the organization. So there's so much to do. And I believe for young people as well, entrepreneurship is the way forward to address a lot of the social ills, that we have. And we really commend my dear brothers Sello and Ziggy for who they are and what they continue to be and what they're doing, by impacting lives positively through their business and even the community work, that they do in various form or the other on a personal basis. I know my brother Sello does a lot, in South Africa, supporting, a lot of initiatives in the community, especially for our Black young people. He has supported us as Bold Move for a long time through funding, sourcing funding through golf initiatives for our schools in Kalija and a lot of others. So thank you, Sello, for all you do. And thank you, Ziggy, for all you do. I pray that God continue to bless you to be a blessing to others. And like you've, stepped out, to mentor and serve and, sow in the lives of others, may you continue to be blessed. And I pray that the young ones and anyone else that has watched this series might have benefited in whatever way as we celebrate our entrepreneurs. Till next time, this is Mama K saying, take care, stay positive, stay safe, and stay happy, stay prayerful. Remember, I love you, and remember, God is love. Till next time.